January 17th, 2009. I'm Gary Johnson. Tonight on Live and Let Live, our guest is Farrell Montgomery, and he is here to talk about the activities of Bob Shultz and the We the People Foundation and the We the People Congress. They are petitioning the government for a redress of grievances, which is part of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Farrell, welcome to Live and Let Live.
Oh, well, thank you, Gary.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but we were going to play a video here at the beginning of the show, which is a video of Bob Shultz, and unfortunately my thing is not working right now. So I'm going to have to try to figure out how to handle this. But Farrell, tell us a little bit about Bob Shultz. Who is Bob Shultz?
Okay, well, Bob's been doing a bunch of different legal cases. Mm-hmm. And every time he's filed, he started out doing legal cases on the state level.
Right.
And he had some success, but he found out that the courts they just were not performing the way the courts were supposed to perform. And he got so that he started strong-arming them, using different legal procedure, and eventually got his way in some of his cases. But eventually he found out, or he started discovering quite avidly, that he needed to start taking some of his cases to the federal level. So once he started taking his cases into the federal courts, he found out that there was almost no cooperation whatsoever. They kept deviating from expected procedure and everything. So anyway, he started basically coming to conclusions. They were, instead of upholding, legal process and legal procedure, they were basically returning injuries.
I don't know what returning injuries means. What does that mean?
Okay, that means that the court, instead of seeking justice, they look for ways. They look for ways to trip you up. Just so they can trip you up, just so it'll delay the case, frustrate you, try to get you to withdraw your case, or exhaust your resources, instead of actually trying to find justice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry to do this to you, Farrell. Matt, are we seeing the color bars on the computer? Okay, then it's working. Actually, Farrell, what I want to do now is, I think it'd be a good idea for us to set the stage for Bob Shultz. And I'm going to play, if I can do this, and I'm sorry that it's taking so long, but I want to play a video from YouTube that he produced. This actually was made, let's just take a look at this. This is from the GiveMeLiberty.org website. We can take a look at this. And if you go to GiveMeLiberty.org/revolution, you will see some activities that Bob did last year before he went to the Supreme Court filing this lawsuit, and he was challenging several things, including, I believe, we'll talk about what he was challenging in a moment. But let's take a look at this video, which is on YouTube, and we'll just pull this up here. And I will start it over in a second here. But let me stop it because I want to get it full screen. I just knocked the microphone off here. If this had been working at the beginning of the show, we wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, yes.
But this is Bob Shultz explaining what he did about this was taped last May, and explaining what he was going to do. And then after we see this video, which lasts about 15 minutes, we'll pick up what he is doing now with the We the People Congress and having all these meetings, including the meeting near San Antonio at McQueeney that you went to, culminating in a meeting in Philadelphia later this year.
Right. Matter of fact, today he was in Minneapolis. Tomorrow he'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And anyway, yeah.
Okay. That is part one. We will actually look at part two. That was about 10 minutes. The part two is about 5 minutes. We'll look at that in a moment, Farrell. But for those of you who are tuning in, we're talking with Farrell Montgomery, who is with the Bob Shultz's group, the We the People Congress, and Farrell went to their meeting near San Antonio at McQueeney, Texas, earlier this month on January 3rd, I believe it was.
Yes, sir.
And so Farrell's going to tell us about this. When we look at part 2, he talks about what to do, and actually he talks about what he did last year, and so we'll pick up after that about what you're doing this year. But Farrell, Bob Shultz talked about 7 things, at least 7 things that were clearly unconstitutional. I thought we could kind of just go through them briefly. One is the Federal Reserve. What's wrong with the Federal Reserve?
Yes, well, you see, Congress is, under the Constitution, Congress is supposed to coin and regulate money. It doesn't mean that Congress can give that to somebody else. Congress themselves is supposed to be doing that. So,
and it's also supposed to be coin, not this
right
counterfeit that we're getting.
It's paper, and worse yet is electronic money. I mean, phew.
All right, so but those things are clearly in the Constitution, word for word. There's coin money and so forth. What about the Iraq War?
Well, that one, you're supposed to basically petition Congress, and then Congress is supposed to give authorization.
The House is supposed
for
to declare
declaration
war.
of war. Yeah,
and it was just some kind of authorization. The president could do whatever he wanted to, and I'm not even sure it was even that. But I'm not sure we really even declared war in Iraq, setting aside the whole question of whether or not invading a country that had not attacked us in a preemptive strike, whether or not that's really something we should be doing at all.
Yes, well, you see, the Constitution says that Congress is supposed to declare war, and then that declaration of war makes the president the commander-in-chief of the military, not of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, then the president has authorization from Congress to start executing orders outside of our borders. Now, inside of our borders, the military has no mission, other than to train and train and train. But their mission, they cannot apply themselves towards police actions or helping people out of cars with their, jaws of life or anything like that. Then the states, they have authorization to do what they want with the National Guard. But actually, the National Guard is part of the regular military. But the states, they can do whatever they want. They have that authority. Now, the militia, that's the basically it's family members, the patriarchs of the families and of the communities and everything, the people that are responsible for protecting everybody.
Right.
They come together, have council meetings and everything. They are the militia.
Right.
Militia does not mean you've got to have guns. Militia are the people that go out and get things done. They're the shakers and the movers of the community or of the county or the state or whatever. That does whatever is necessary to make sure that life, liberty, and happiness is easily attained by the members of the communities.
Right. I'm going to go through these 7 things as quickly as I can.
Okay.
The USA Patriot Act.
Oh, yes. Well, that's, just because you pass legislation saying that it's okay to violate good faith, the Constitution, it's a trust.
Yes.
It's a trust between the public and the public servants who are supposed to fill out the offices authorized, by the Constitution. Now, when people step outside of that trust, they're no longer under the law. They're no longer under public authorization. They're a mob.
And that's sort of what the USA Patriot Act has made the government. It's just doing whatever it wants to in spite of the restraints that are supposed to be placed upon the government by the Constitution.
It's unconscionable legislation. I mean, sure, you can enter into an agreement, a contract or something, or you can pass legislation saying it's okay to kill somebody so long as they give you money to do it or something. That's an unconscionable contract. It's against natural law. It's against God's law. And it cannot be legislated into law. Nothing, even Congress's stamp of approval, will not make something like that a law. And that's what the USA Patriot Act is. It's against the Constitution. It's against the public trust. It's in defiance of life, liberty, and protection of property and everything like that. It's, I don't know.
And
I'm
it's
starting to get
passed.
worked up here.
Well, it's passed. It's the law. It hasn't been struck down by the Supreme Court. I guess parts of it have, but most of it hasn't. And yet somehow it shouldn't be happening. A Constitution should be preventing that sort of thing from happening.